In life, we often wonder if destiny is something predetermined or something we create for ourselves. Opportunity often knocks on everyone's door, but the difference between success and failure lies in who is ready to grab it at the right moment. Long ago, in a bustling city along the banks of the Ganges River, lived a very poor woodcutter. His life was a cycle of hard labor. Every morning, he would head into the deep forests outside the city to gather dry wood, then spend his afternoons walking the streets to sell it. He lived hand to mouth, but like everyone else, he harbored a secret dream of a better life. One evening, while working deep in the woods, the sun set faster than expected. Unable to find his way back in the dark, he decided to spend the night under a massive ancient tree. In the middle of the night, he was startled awake by the sound of voices. To his amazement, the voices were coming from two large birds perched on the branches above him. The bird on the lower branch boasted, "Anyone who eats my flesh will instantly receive 1,000 pieces of gold, become incredibly wealthy." Hearing this, the bird on the higher branch replied, "That is nothing compared to me. Anyone who eats my head will become the supreme ruler of this entire kingdom." Greed immediately flared in the woodcutter's heart. He was no longer satisfied with just being rich. He wanted power. He wanted to be king. With a quick and desperate move, he managed to capture the bird from the higher branch. The woodcutter rushed home, fueled by visions of grandeur. He slaughtered the bird and prepared a stew. However, as the delicious aroma filled his small hut, his ego began to grow. He thought to himself, "I'm about to become the king of this land. It is not fitting for a future monarch to eat such a sacred meal while covered in the dirt and sweat of a laborer." He decided he must be pure before accepting his destiny. He took the pot of stew and headed down to the Ganges River, intending to bathe and dress in his best clothes before eating. This was his first major mistake. He had the opportunity in his hands, but he delayed it by seeking a perfect moment that didn't exist. While he was bathing in the river, a sudden and violent storm broke out. The winds howled, and the river began to rise rapidly. Before the woodcutter could react, a massive wave swept over the bank, carrying his pot of stew into the rushing waters of the Ganges. He swam desperately after it, but the current was too strong. His golden opportunity floated away, leaving him with nothing but his arrogance and regret. Further downstream, a simple mahout, an elephant trainer, was also bathing in the river. He knew nothing of the birds or the prophecy. As he stood in the water, he saw a pot floating toward him. He reached out and caught it. Upon opening it, he found a perfectly cooked meal. Being hungry after a long day of work, he didn't overthink it. He simply sat down and ate the head of the bird. The effect was instantaneous. He felt a surge of vitality he had never known. His mind became incredibly sharp, and a sense of deep wisdom and courage filled his soul. He didn't know he had just consumed a miracle. He only knew that he felt ready to take on the world. Not long after, the kingdom was plunged into crisis. Enemy forces launched a massive invasion, threatening to destroy everything. The king led his army into battle, and the mahout followed on his war elephant. The battle was fierce and bloody. In a tragic turn of events, the king was struck by an enemy arrow and fell in the middle of the battlefield. Chaos erupted. The soldiers, seeing their leader fall, were on the verge of retreating. But the mahout, empowered by his newfound wisdom and courage, stepped forward. He put on the royal armor, rallied the troops with a powerful voice, and led a brilliant counterattack. His strategy was flawless, and his bravery inspired the entire army to fight with renewed strength. They crushed the enemy and saved the kingdom. When the war ended, the ministers and wise men gathered to choose a successor. They saw the mahout, a man who had shown the heart and mind of a true leader when the nation needed it most. With unanimous support, the simple elephant trainer was crowned the new king. Looking back at this story, the contrast is clear. The woodcutter discovered the opportunity first, but he lost it because he was too busy preparing for the ideal situation. He allowed pride and hesitation to get in the way of action. The mahout, on the other hand, seized the opportunity the moment it appeared before him, even without knowing its full value. The lesson for our modern lives is simple. Opportunity is a perishable bird. It does not stay perched forever. If you wait for the perfect time, the perfect budget, or the perfect version of yourself to start, you might find that your pot of stew has already floated downstream. Don't be the woodcutter who watches his dreams wash away while he tries to look the part. Be the person who acts when the moment arrives. Success belongs to those who are willing to start exactly where they are, with what they have. Your destiny is waiting, but it won't wait forever.